good morning. I stand behind this podium today with a bit of trepidation. When speaking in churches as I do, you never know whether you will be accepted. But I read on your website that you're a friendly, talkative bunch of group. You wear what you feel, and we accept all people as they come. So I guess I feel fairly safe. But you know you're pretty brave, because when you have people that reach the age of 70, you never know what they're going to say. My wife will wholeheartedly agree with that. You would think that they would speak with wonder and wisdom. However, Abe Lincoln once said, "It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt." Perhaps I better sit back down. But I can't do that. I enjoy talking about the Mennonite Disaster Service and the love of God that the MDS volunteers share with those affected by disasters. And our God is an awesome God. I bring you greetings from Kevin King, who is our executive director as well. We talked in Sunday school a little bit about MDS and about sharing the love of Jesus and responding to those affected by disasters. So I'll just say a few words about MDS that we have covered already in Sunday school. Over the years, almost 70 years now, because of your generous support and hard work of volunteers and staff, MDS was able to bless hundreds of people who suffered a disaster in their lives. People who suffered a loss of a family member, who suffered the loss of a home, who suffered the loss of hope. MDS volunteers shared the love of Jesus through their hard work and silent witness. MDS is an independent Anabaptist organization, no longer associated with MCC, and we're not aligned with any church conference or church, which gives all Anabaptist believers an opportunity to serve others when disaster strikes. And no, you don't have to be Mennonite to serve at an MDS site. We welcome everyone. Our mission states MDS is a volunteer network of Anabaptist churches that respond in Christian love to those affected by disasters in Canada and the United States, while the main focus is on cleanup, repair, and rebuilding. This service touches lives, nurtures hope, faith, and wholeness. MDS has offices in Lititz, Pennsylvania, in Winnipeg, Canada. We have 5 regions across the United States and Canada, with over 50 state units prepared for disaster recovery when needed. We have many congregations supporting MDS with volunteers, donations, and prayers. And we have not closed 2018, but for 2017, we had over 5,000 volunteers, give over 32,000 volunteer days, and serve 832 clients, performing cleanup, repairing homes, building 66 new homes, and 17 new bridges. Bridges. Talk to me or Carol about that after the service. All of the revenue comes from donations and grants, and I would suggest that you visit our website for more information about service opportunities and information about MDS. And I know Roger and Bev Clausen would rather not be noted, and unfortunately they couldn't be here today, but I wanted everyone to know that they are very much appreciated in MDS, sharing their time and equipment with those in need. And as I mentioned in the children's story, we had a group from this community come to Pilgrim, Nebraska, and they shared their time for those needing help as well. Thank you very much for your commitment to supporting MDS. This is a great country that we live in. However, with all of the things going on in our country, we wonder if that is really the case. When most of us think about the date of April 15, our stomachs begin to churn if we have yet to file our income taxes. However, if we run the clock back to the year 1912, we remember a very different April 15th. In the early morning hours on this maiden voyage across the cold North Atlantic Ocean, the RMS Titanic began to sink after hitting an iceberg 2 hours before. Our imaginations can only speculate what the 2,000 plus passengers and crew members on board must have been thinking. I doubt too many of them were concerned with anything that mattered just a few hours before. Each individual began to think differently about the value of their plans, desires, and lives. Each individual, as they came to grips with the reality that their very world was sinking, I speculate that their thoughts turned to three important objectives. One, where are the lifeboats? Two, will there be enough room in the lifeboats? And three, I hope everyone will cooperate so that we can get to safety. Unfortunately, for more than 1,500 souls, those three important objectives were never achieved as they perished in the cold, dark waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. Oh, how things out of our control can change our lives in the blink of an eye. A tornado, a hurricane, a flood, fire. We have experienced so many disasters in the last couple of years. Hurricane Harvey, Irma, Maria, Florence and Michael. We've experienced forest fires, and they're going on now in California. Now, I was part of the investigation team after Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey arrived on shore August 25th of 2017, just east of Corpus Christi, with the eye of the storm hitting around the Rockport, Texas area. This storm dumped over 51 inches of rain, causing devastating flooding along the Texas coast and inland. Well, MDS focuses on the forgotten communities. 1 week later, after the storm hit, as we were trying to find a place where we could set up a project, Saturday morning we were dejected, we were down, because we had not found a community yet for our response. Just nothing felt right. But God was leading us that day. He was guiding us the whole time. We just didn't notice. We arrived at Victoria, Texas, just 30 miles inland off the Gulf Coast. We found the Emergency Operations Center in the basement of the courthouse, and we ended up in the office of the volunteer coordinator. And she happened to be meeting with one of the county commissioners. As we began to tell our story, that we are known for our long-term rebuilding and recovery, helping those people who could not get back home by their own means. And now for early response, we already had volunteers and equipment ready to come and help. The commissioner became emotional. He had tears running down his cheeks. As he regained his composure, he said, I've been praying about this need in my district, one of the poorest areas in Texas. How much time do you have, he asked. Well, I will let him tell you a little more of the story. We can show the video, please.
In this area, so it's a place that's dear to me. So when you guys came to Victoria and asked, how can I help? It didn't take me long to figure out where I was going to sign you guys. So as a commissioner, we're very fortunate in the sense that we can make those decisions to help the people that need it the most. Victoria County is probably about 85,000. The area that I represent, Bloomington, Placerville, Foster Valley, Woodline, into Victoria up to Tampa, we have probably some of the areas that need the most help. At times they're underserved. So you guys coming in, man, that is a big shot in the arm for us. I'm not quite sure where we would be right now if you guys hadn't shown up. Some people that may not be much when you pass through and you see what they had, but to us that they grew up here, it's everything. It's everything that we've got. So if we didn't have much with the storm, we had less. I would say probably 50% of the folks that live in these areas are uninsured. So what they've lost is lost. But when you walk away from someone and you know you need help, when they had lost all hope, despair was all around them, and you walk in there and you say, we can put a tarp on the house. why do you come and help people that you don't even know? And some of the answers are,
as Christians, we're there for them. We're going to help as best as we can.
for me, personally, it's been very humbling. What you guys are providing for us is hope. When there's nothing else, there's always hope. And you guys came in and showed us that. So I appreciate that.
Tears of sadness and tears of joy. God leading us there and allowed us to bring hope and wholeness to a community in need. And we're still working there today. I'd like to share a story from Mark Lehman in our LaGrange, Texas project, and he sent us an email. He was very excited about receiving some help. He said he and his son had cooked hot dogs for friends and family. They had put out a collection bowl for people to contribute if they wished to support MDS wherever they were. He said, I conducted several tours of my house for those who wanted to see it. I am a seasoned public speaker, so I assure you I gave a good tour to all and explained and told everything that I could about the wonderful people that were involved in the rebuilding of my house and all of the many volunteers and their selfless desire to help people in need. So he goes on, hopefully in a few weeks, MDS will receive some money for us. There were perhaps 40 people in attendance, and as you know, many people do have their own organizations which they send their tithes. But I know that even small amounts help. This entire flooding experience was an incredibly horrible thing to go through. There is a lot of horrible ugliness in the world right now. But he says, I am a Christian man with a strong faith, with family and friends of the same ilk. From this horrible experience, I have seen nothing but the goodness, the grace, the mercy, and greatness of God and those who follow and serve Him. And we have 4 projects going on in Texas as part of the Harvey recovery, and it will be a long time that we will be there. So then, we are the lifeboats. Yes, you and I, each and every time that we walk out our love for those in our community, every time we lend a hand to our neighbor who is hungry, homeless, depressed, we build a larger lifeboat. And each time that we build a larger lifeboat, we worry less we will run out of room in that lifeboat if the ship begins to sink. And if enough people work together throughout our nation, building one lifeboat at a time, we can confidently rest assured that we will continue to safely sail toward the God-ordained shores that He created for us. Helping our neighbor, near or far, all working together to restore the hope for those suffering and hardship, all working together to bring our neighbors home, regardless of who they are, all helping people through our witness and helping them back into the arms of God. Oh, what a wonderful lifeboat we have to share. You may think, you know, I have a little, very little to give. But I'd like to close with a story about Sarah. Sarah had just moved to a new town. She was going to a new school and a new church. She was getting to know her classmates. She was full of energy. Sarah was simply easy to fall in love with. One Sunday, the Sunday school teacher taught the children that everyone can be useful, and the usefulness in serving God and that doing so is worthy of honor. The children soaked up the teacher's words. Then Sarah spoke up, Teacher, what can I do? I don't know how to do many useful things. The teacher was not expecting this question and quickly looked around and spotted an empty vase. Sarah, you can bring a flower in and put it in the vase. That would be a useful thing. But Sarah frowned. But that's not important. And the teacher replied, it is if you are helping someone. Sure enough, next Sunday, Sarah brought in a dandelion and placed it in the vase. In fact, she continued to do so each week, making sure the vase was full. The teacher told the pastor about Sarah's faithfulness, and he placed the vase upstairs as an example. Everyone was touched by the message, and each week saw the beauty of serving others. Sarah continued to put flowers in that vase week after week, just a little something to make herself useful and show her love for others. Then one week, Sarah's mother called the doctor saying she was worried about Sarah. She seemed to have less energy and had lost her appetite. After a battery of tests and days of examination, the physician received the results. He just sat numbly in his office. The results were tragic. Later the next day, the doctor had stopped by to see Sarah's parents so he could personally give them the bad news. Sarah's genetics and the leukemia that was attacking her small body were a horrible mix. And sitting around the kitchen table, the doctor did his best to explain to Sarah's parents that nothing could be done to save her life. Sarah's mom, with tears in her eyes, asked, "How can this happen? Why would God allow this? Such a beautiful life ended by such pain and anguish." It was difficult not to question the goodness of God in Sarah's life. One Friday afternoon, the doctor visited Sarah, and she knew she would be leaving this world soon. The next Sunday morning, the church had started as usual, the singing and the sermon, and the doctor thought it all seemed meaningless when he thought of Sarah. At the end of the sermon, the pastor suddenly stopped speaking, his eyes wide. He stared at the back of the church with utter amazement. Everyone turned to see what he was looking at. But it was Sarah. Her parents had brought her for one last visit. She was bundled in a blanket and a dandelion in her little hand. She did not sit in the mat robe. Instead, she slowly walked to the front of the church, where her vase still perched by the pulpit. She put her flower in the vase, and this time placed a piece of paper beside it. Then she returned to her parents. Seeing Sarah place the flower in the vase for the last time moved everyone, and at the end of the service, people gathered around Sarah and her parents, trying to offer as much love and support as possible. 4 days later, Sarah died. The doctor sat and thought about Sarah, her hurting parents, Sarah's funny antics, her laughter, and tears filled the doctor's eyes as he struggled not to question the goodness of God in allowing Sarah's life to end in such a horrible way. The pastor stopped the doctor after the funeral, and in a low voice, he told the doctor he had something he should see. He pulled out of his pocket a piece of paper that Sarah had left by the vase, and said he better keep this. It may help him in his line of work. The doctor opened the folded paper to read in pink crayon what Sarah had written. "Dear God, this vase has been the biggest honor of my life. Sarah." Sarah's note can help us realize in a new way that life is an opportunity to serve God by serving people. People who are struggling every day, or those who have experienced a natural disaster and questioning God's goodness. As Sarah put it, serving others is the biggest honor of all. Yes, our nation may be sailing uncomfortably close to the ship-sinking iceberg of divisions, injustice, racism, political polarization, and poverty. But with Jesus as a captain of life, we can find the lifeboat of safety in turbulent times, because we are the lifeboat as we truly demonstrate our love for our neighbors. Be aware of the local needs in your community and your church, and this community I know has many missions that need passionate volunteers. So wherever and whatever your mission passion happens to be, get out and volunteer. Share that love of Jesus with others. With all of the disasters inflicting enormous destruction, MDS will have the challenge of enough funds to establish and sustain long-term rebuilding, and enough volunteer leadership to continue rebuilding. So as the future unfolds before us, please join MDS as we all become a part of a beautiful unfolding story of how volunteers come together, sharing the love of Christ to build a lifeboat for all, simply by loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and loving our neighbors as ourselves. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we invite you into the midst of our busy lives. May we put you first in our discernment of utilizing our time and our talents. May we see and hear your call for us to help our neighbor. Lord, I thank you for these churches, for this community, and this body of believers and their passion for helping others. Bless them and make them a blessing. In your precious name, amen.